Justin Trudeau and his Liberals took to the internet yesterday to talk about their culinary skills. Look how well they cooked the numbers. Amazing work over there at the Liberal Party. But economists are talking about the economy in a different sense. Canada needs to prepare for bank runs and collapses, warns a former regulator. Now, before we get into the rest of this video, I want to discuss once again the difference between inflation and the effects of inflation. Inflation is an expansion of the monetary supply. They're printing more money that dilutes the value of all the other money that's out there. That's right. It's an indirect tax. Now, the effects of inflation is rising prices, and this is what the inflation numbers are representing, the effects of inflation. Now, they can cook the books by changing what they use to measure those things. Now, if you want to protect some of that wealth, head over to some of our friends here at New World Precious Metals. Put some of that money in gold, in silver, in precious metals. This will help protect the wealth, some of the wealth that they're diluting in this way. You can hit the link right here. Get a screen grab of this portion of the video for later, and then you can check out that with that QR code, go over there and talk to some of the guys over at New World Precious Metals to help you today. Now, Marty Up North jumped in here to say the Liberals didn't get any traction yesterday from their announcement that year-over-year inflation was 1.6%. That's because Canadians face the reality of Trudeau's failed policies every day. Have you noticed any costs coming down? What items have you stopped buying altogether? Because this is really the situation here. Now, the food professor bringing a little bit more sense to this whole thing. This is obviously Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, saying our agri-food sector is becoming increasingly uncompetitive. Today, the inflation data gives us another hint. In September, the food inflation rate was 2.4%. It was largely driven by categories where domestic production plays a significant role. All of these categories currently exceed the overall food inflation rate. Eggs are up 5%, dairy products 2.7%, vegetables 4%, and meat up 7%. This issue transcends monetary policy or supply chain disruptions. It's a matter of declining domestic competitiveness. Paradoxically, categories more reliant on food imports are mitigated inflationary pressure, which underscores a deeper systemic issue. Historically, such trends are early indicators of a nation's gradual descent into poverty. Well, doesn't that sound great that we're moving into an era of food insecurity? And just compared to our neighbors to the south, wow, we are not doing so hot. We are worried about you, says Wall Street Silver. Yeah, they're worried about us. Are the Liberals worried about us? Well, they don't seem to be. Well, maybe some of them are. Justin Trudeau is wrecking Canada's liberal dream, says this article from The Economist. I would listen probably to what some of the economists are saying these days. Now, getting into this article, the high cost of housing is central. The cost of owning a home in Canada has increased by 66% since he took office in 2015. Now, for some of us, it's increased more than that. I mean, my rents have gone up by $20,000 this year. It is incredible the amount of money people are having to pay just to keep a roof over their head these days. With prices rising faster in this country, in this century, than in any other sizable OECD country, bar Australia. Lack of supply is a problem in many, but is especially acute in Canada. Well, what's adding to the lack of supply? Well, probably the number of people coming in when it comes to housing. Yeah, here's Elon Musk tweeting this morning. What does it look like when a far left open borders government gets reelected? For Canada, it means the foreign-born share of the population increase from 24% in 2016 to 34% by the time Trudeau gets voted out in October 2025. That's right. A huge number, a huge increase in the number of people in Canada will lead to rising prices in, you guessed it, the limited supply of homes there are in this country. So you add on top of spending way too much money, adding too many people to the country, it's going to cause negative effects for the people living in that country, economically and otherwise, obviously. Now, of course, the National Post posting about this a while back, the majority of all Canadians now disapprove of Trudeau, except the hardcore Liberals, where it turns out the ones that are hardcore enough to be in his backbench are now saying, nah, we don't support him either. Some Liberal MPs are mounting a new effort to oust Justin Trudeau. MPs were pulled out into meetings across Parliament Hill this week to sign a pledge demanding change at the top. Now, of course, this is obviously a ploy to keep their jobs as MPs. A lot of them want to get reelected in the next election, and they know that they won't with Justin Trudeau at the helm. And here's one to talk about specifically just that. The CCFR posting this: Member of Parliament for Charlottetown PEI, Sean Casey, joins a growing number of Liberal MPs publicly calling for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to step down. He says progressive voters have told him they have had enough and won't vote for him. That's it. They just won't vote for this guy if Justin Trudeau is at the leadership.
Liberal leader.
No, I don't. My job has always been to project the voice of the people I represent in Ottawa, to be Charlottetown's representative in Ottawa and not the reverse. And the message that I've been getting loud and clear and more strongly as time goes by is that it's time for him to go. And I agree.
Did you come to that conclusion before you started hearing it at the doors? I mean, when you talk to people in your riding, what are your constituents saying to you?
There's a general malaise. There's a level of tiredness. The number one issue at the doors in Prince Edward Island has for a long time been healthcare. That's been supplanted by concerns over leadership. And people have had enough. They've tuned him out, and they want him to go. I can't tell you the number of people that have said to me, Sean, I want to vote for you, but I can't.
I want to vote for you, but I can't, and that is the sentiment. And I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad it's guys like this that enabled Justin Trudeau to do what he's been doing. Yeah, you're backbencher, whatever. You're not really all that much, but you have enabled him. You voted along with him on a lot of this stuff that has caused Canada a lot of hardship. So stay in, Justin Trudeau, until the next election, please. So at least other people will be selected in those ridings, perhaps, that won't be of that ilk. Anyway, Marty Up North also posting this. It's going to be a very interesting week in Canadian politics. Why Justin Trudeau needs a distraction. Of course, yesterday and today reporting on the distraction of kicking India out of Canada, essentially, and destroying all of our, massive trade that we have with them, about $10 billion back and forth, may not happen thanks to Justin Trudeau. But this is a nice distraction to distract from things like the major housing crisis, escalating record number of public unhappiness over prices and federal spending. Major by-election loss by Trudeau's party in Montreal and Toronto. 20 MPs from Trudeau's Liberal parties have signed a pact calling on Trudeau to step down. Bloc Québécois separatists escalating pressure on demands, saying by October 29th, they will escalate agitation and possibly even call for an election in Canada. Right of center conservatives have a big lead in opinion polls. Read of 2025 election. All polls show Trudeau will lose if elections are held now. Jagmeet Singh's NDP tore up that deal, ensures keeping Trudeau in power. Wants distance from a shrinking Trudeau, but keeps him in power. But this is all the stuff that they want to distract from. But let's get back to Dr. Charlebois, who's been talking about this, the food professor on Twitter. Breaking news. It's actually breaking news as of this morning, I believe, that The shocking new study reveals that over 6 billion liters of Canadian farm milk was wasted over the last decade while food prices are still rising. Hey, what do you know? The study published in one of the world's most prestigious environmental economics journals, so this can't be this is bipartisan, absolutely, estimates that between 6.8 billion and 10 billion liters of milk, valued at about $14.9 billion Canadian, have been discarded, thrown down the drain on Canadian dairy farms since 2012. Well, this is all because of the supply management agreements. Yeah, that whole, like, you know, communist, the creamy communism in Canada, the dairy lobby. This is a real thing. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can read this. Over 6 billion liters of Canadian milk wasted since 2012. And this is a study that proves this as a fact. Now, turns out, looks like Jerry, the Ontario dairy farmer, was right. Remember this guy? He came out, he spoke out, and then rumor is that he was threatened with his life to remain silent once again about this. Dairy farmers dump millions of liters every year away from prying eyes and cameras, reads the new study below. And this is where we're at in Canada. While we are experiencing massive inflation, and while, you know, dairy lobby is forcing farmers to punt milk down the drains, and the cost of living is rising on every sector, and well, they just flubbed the numbers in Ottawa, pat themselves on the back, and feel a little bit better about it. But let's see how you feel about this. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Tell me, food prices. Have food prices been doing all right for you? Are we down to the 1.6%, or is it more in the lines of reality, like everybody else, where food prices are going up? How are you faring with the cost of living? What have you had to give up on in your daily life, your regular dreams and ambitions and goals? What have you had to give up on for this Prime Minister, for this government in Canada? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.